I would like to know how you got involved with this project. I hear it's a...
I just give a boring answer for my many years in this. I thought, Ethan, you have more of an interesting trajectory.
Wow. All right, well, Rick sent me the script about 12 years ago, and I read it immediately. It was ice hot. It's an unbelievable screenplay. I called him up. My wife and I were in a hotel room in Mexico. And I was like, I'm calling him, we got to make this. He said, yeah, we should make it. Just not now. I'm like, why not now? Let's make it now. He's like, women still want to sleep with you. I said, we got to wait until they don't. What does that mean? You know? And, just let me tell the story. And my daughters are in the audience, and so please forgive me. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I can play this part. Yeah, all right, let's do a reading. We did a reading, and he said, let's just wait. And a couple years later, we did another reading. I was like, this is amazing, we gotta do this. We're still working on the script, tweaking it. Yeah, not yet. And then a little over a year ago, Rick called me up. He said, hey, I saw you on Jimmy Fallon last night. And I'm like, yeah? And I go, yeah, you were good. I think it's time to make Blue Moon. And I was like, go to hell. But anyway, the script is ready, and we were ready, and now we're here at Telluride.
Did you want to fact check that, or you feel...
That's somewhat, yeah. It was close. It was good timing, but it was definitely time. Yeah.
Rick, what was it about this moment of his life that you felt like you wanted to tell the story about?
God, Robert's a friend of mine. We collaborated on a film years ago, me and Orson Welles, and we're just buddies, but he sent me this thing, and he said, talking about Loren's Heart. I go, I love Loren's Heart. I'm a big fan of that era. And it was just so poignant. You see you rarely see a movie about an artistic breakup. I just love Rodgers and Hart so much. And it was so poignant, so sad to see that kind of Hart exit. Because that's one of the great collaborations. Rodgers had two just earth-shattering collaborations, but to leave behind, it was such a perverse idea. To the opening night of Oklahoma, this game-changing night in musical theater history, to seeing through Larry's eyes. I just saw it as this kind of sad little howl into the night, of an artist who's being left behind, not only by the times are changing, but you're someone you love, your partner of a quarter century. It's such a great collaboration, but to see that ending for not artistic reasons, really, just personal reasons, the demons and just the way life kind of goes at you. And, Rodgers still has a lot to do, and Larry's kind of holding him back. I don't know, it's something beautiful between them and the times, and I don't know, just something I was like, it's sad, but it's poignant. What makes you want to do anything? He says, I love these guys, and this was worth exploring. So.
And tell me what you were looking for in your Richard Rodgers and what Andrew had.
Whew, that's the big one, We're just so lucky, Andrew came. I'm just so grateful. Andrew was working on it. Do you want to jump in here? Andrew worked his ass off just to be able to do this. He was doing another movie, flying in for, we got Andrew, rehearse. And Andrew comes back, shoot. I don't know. It was like, but we're just so lucky to have Andrew, because, you need someone who can match Hart and Ethan.
It was great. We got to rehearse. I always feel like watching Rick's movies. I always feel like I always wondered how he creates such a naturalistic atmosphere. And I was like, is it sort of like improv or whatever? But what I was amazed to discover was how much rehearsal we got to do. We really did, for the amount of time. We probably had the same amount of rehearsal time as we did shooting time. Am I right?
If not more, yeah.
Yeah, and in that short amount of time, just to be able to establish this hugely deep relationship was really, really important. And it was really, really, really special. And so all that work that we were able to do beforehand allowed us to be sort of really sort of free on the day, and to be able to watch this incredible performance.
It's asking a lot of the actors, like in a few weeks, and I just love watching world-class talented actors go through that. Like they created 25 years of backstory, every little glance you see from Andrew, you see the hurt, the pain, the joy, the successes, mixed with this kind of, I don't know, what I see the poignancy of it ending, this slow dissolve out of this relationship.
Ethan, it's a lot of dialogue for you. And I got tired just watching you do it, but it's so alive, and I'm curious how the two, Rick, if you can also talk about how the two of you made it feel so energetic and so alive, and Ethan, if you can talk about how you approach taking on that much dialogue as an actor. Does it ever feel overwhelming, or you just have to ignore that?
Truthfully, it's a little bit like athletics. It's very difficult to play any given sport well, but the first thing you have to do is be in shape, physically and mentally. And learning text is a discipline, and there's no magic to it. It's just hard work. It's just time, and luckily, Andrew and I have a tremendous amount of experience in the theater, and you create really good work habits. Once you've memorized Macbeth, everything else becomes easy. And so, but it's a difficult, time-consuming process. And Andrew and I talked about this. There's a freedom and a relaxation that I have as a performer that you experience on week 6 of doing Henry IV. That you realize when those weeks start happening through that repetition, this immense freedom and relaxation that's happening, that then you're like, oh, I wish those people didn't see it those first 2 weeks, because I'm a lot better now. And then on film, you have to get yourself to that level of relaxation on the first day. So it's a different, you want to be 6 weeks into the run on the first day of shooting. And the good thing is, once you've felt that feeling of relaxation, you know when you don't have it. I think a lot of young actors, they don't know that they're not relaxed. I'm relaxed, yeah, I'm relaxed, But once you've actually had fun performing, and then the verbiage gets easier, you know when to go fast, you know when to go slow, you know when to hit it, when to slide it. And that's where all the joy and spontaneity can live, because you find that the whole thing slows down, and you find moments and side moments. At first it's just, oh, that hurt my feelings. And then it becomes, oh, that's kind of funny, and then it hurts my feelings. Or, there's layers, coats of paint, Rick always calls it. And the rehearsal process allows you to burn through the anxiety. And I had a friend of mine who worked with Rick once, and it was like, they are always so nervous the first day of shooting on any other project they've done, but the rehearsals were so intense that they couldn't even remember when the first day of shooting was, because it was easier than rehearsal, And so that's what...
Yeah, and we built in, I think there's something about the nature of those very heady sort of evenings, opening nights and press nights and all. So we built in quite a lot of interruptions, and so sometimes people can interrupt you at particular times, so you always have to be able to go back to where you were in the way you do on those nights where you're having these stolen conversations, and you're able to sort of anticipate what somebody who you know very well might say, and also at the same time you have to sort of balance being
the other people
in the room.
The
public. And so that requires, means your listening antenna has to be really, and that just means really knowing it really, really real well.
Yeah, this whole thing's so intimate and private, but in a very public space. It's an opening night party, for God's sake. So, yeah, that was fun. But I want to say, we shot this in like 15 days. We had low budget, but that's built in is their ability. I know, Ethan can do a 7-page monologue. We've done it a lot. It's like, the crew is sitting around going like, how do you do this? And then their eyes are looking at like, oh wow. And then the scene on the stairway between these guys, there were a couple cameras, and we can do that pretty quickly. It's like, wow. But that's them.
And most of the story takes place in this one location. What was your approach, Rick, to making that remain dynamic? Because you knew you were a little confined.
Yeah, that's just a challenge. To me, that's just a cinematic challenge to not look at that as a limitation. Like, oh, look at this place. We've got a bar area, we got the entrance, we got the coat room. You make it, just see it from, this whole movie is from Larry's perspective. So we just kind of flow with him around, and I don't know, the idea of it feeling like a play or too stagey, or that doesn't bother me at all. I just think we can bring this alive and make it, I don't know.
Did either of you learn anything new about these real people as you were researching or preparing to play these characters that sort of surprised you?
One of the things that I think was really nice about this is that we aren't playing, you know, if you're playing Muhammad Ali or Johnny Cash or something, the audience comes in with these tremendous preconceived notions of what these people look like, what they sounded like, the iconography that follows them. Mm-hmm. We were really free to not, yes, we're playing real people, but I really wanted to make it relevant to you in your life. It's really about friendship, it's about failure, it's about triumph. It's a story of a guy, we're watching him die of a heartbreak in 90 minutes. So there's nothing, we lived our lives. I had this great, when I was really young and first met Rick, you know, he had this thing of like, you said this thing to me like, we were talking about Before Sunrise, and you said something to the effect of, I've never been in involved in gunplay or international espionage or a helicopter chase, and my life has felt full of drama. And the real drama of our life is what happens with our friends and our connections with other people and intimacy. And there's moments of intense violence to our inner life that has no external violence. And if the camera can dramatize that and make that cinematic, then we could do something really exciting that could make people feel better about their own lives, as opposed to, you know, like walking out of a wonderful movie like Avatar or something. I walk out and I'm just disappointed I'm not blue, you know, and I feel like my life is so boring. And Rick's movies are so boring they make you feel good about your own life.
Andrew, can you also talk about sort of the balance of playing this real person, but, you know, making him your own?
What I think is really incredibly sort of cinematic is, before Oklahoma becomes one of the most famous musicals of all time, there are, of course, the artists behind the work that are going, what's this going to be like? What are people going to think? And so it's to kind of unknow history in some ways. And, you know, it's really interesting at a film festival, because there's a kind of an atmosphere of, oh, a lot of people who are probably very well known and very accomplished and world renowned, who are terrified that their work is going to be exposed to a lot of people because they still care. And I think the thing that I love so much about these kind of movies and these kind of stories is that we understand that these people are these people and so beloved because they care so deeply. And so the kind of challenge that we would be able to see these people who love each other very much, but who are absolutely obsessed with their work. And I think audiences really love to see people who are brilliant at what they do. But I think it's understanding that the more you go through your artistic life, you don't become necessarily more assured. I think you can possibly become less assured, and you care really deeply. So that idea of the birthplace of this very, very, very famous evening, to me,
it's so fun to watch Richard Rodgers be nervous about the review.
Right.
Yeah, I find that kind of electric. Yeah.
We're somehow almost out of time, so I'm going to ask a nerdy theater question as my last question. Can you each pick a theater-going experience you've had in your own life that was sort of life-changing, something you watched on stage?
Well, I'll start. I'll lead with one. We went to London probably a decade ago, and I had never heard of Andrew Scott. But I was like, let's go see Hamlet. And I went to see Hamlet, and I just watched. You were doing everything with Shakespeare that I always wanted to do. It was so alive and so spontaneous and so honest with the verbiage in it. But it was so electric, and my wife and I were there, and we're like, write that guy's name down, get that program. And I love that about life. It was kind of burned into me, and we were doing this, and we're talking about who could be Richard Rodgers, and what was fun is in the interim time period, Andrew become a star. And it was like, maybe Scott will want to do it. Like, what if he would do it?
Yeah, it's like,
amazing.
no, he's too busy. He's
too
big time.
He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
Why would he?
And then he was like, yeah, let's do this. I was like, oh, this movie might be good. So that I'll go with Andrew Scott and Hamlet.
That is so kind. Thank you so much.
It's true.
It's so weird in these. I still find it so extraordinary because obviously Rick and Ethan's work is just like loads of people here. It just has meant so much to me over the years. So I don't know. One of the beautiful things about this industry is that no matter what stage you are, you're still playing. It's something I always say about being an actor is that you have to play a part. You play a part. So that sense of wonder, of course we work really hard, but your work is to play. And so that sense of wonder that you get to do with these other people is truly amazing. So I know that's not answering your question, but yeah, it's just an honor to be alongside these people. This is what number collaboration is this, you guys?
Is your 8? Is that right?
Ninth.
9? This is the 9th.
Pretty
Got it.
amazing.
Yeah, this
But who's counting?
Yeah.
My theater, yeah, Andrew, you didn't answer for a
Great, but I said I didn't answer.
Yeah,
so I
okay,
could-
yeah, okay. But I could answer. I mean, there's so many answers. I could talk about seeing Rent downtown. I could talk about seeing Long Day's Journey. But I'll just jump to fall of '93. I'm in New York, get invited to a play by one of my dazed actors, Anthony Rapp, is in this cool play called Sophistry. It also has Calista Flockhart, Robert Sean Leonard, Steve Zahn, Austin Pendleton, and a young actor I'd seen in movies named Ethan Hawke. And 99-seat theater, and I go to that. I'm like, oh wow. Went out after, and I said, I'd already, you knew about the movie? Anyway, that's where Before Sunrise began, that night.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. So within a year, we had made that film, and that was a long time ago.
So the stage really brought all three of you together.
There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you
absolutely.
everyone for joining us.
Thank you.